Okay, I am going with portrait orientation this time because I need you to see my legs. That'll make sense later on. Okay, so real quickly, this is the day 4 wrap up. Here is a little bar graph I drew talking about what today was like. So the time is on the bottom, pain and discomfort scale is on the other axis, and all these represent times when I had little flare-ups, only going up to level 3. You notice they drop off right away, all right? And I only really had 3 level 3s if I had to rate it. So like yesterday, not great. Yesterday was pretty rough. Today, so much better. I really spent most of the day feeling amazing. But those 3s were definitely, I would say, 3s. Like I went to one practitioner and I was just like, can I just lay down on the floor and cover my eyes? Because that's what I need to do right now. I had other moments in the day when the flare-ups happened, when I was doing a cognitive test, and I just had to keep myself from bursting into tears, but that's what my body wanted to do, which is a common expression of the brain is completely overwhelmed and it just shuts down. So those were interesting moments, but still the real story here is that there were hardly any of those moments. Most of the day I felt amazing. It was the best day I've had so far. And also, I just want you to look at how many activities. I know I kind of jumbled this, but like, here's the time going across the bottom, right? I was there from 9 until 6 p.m. They work you here, people. It's not a joke. You work a lot. But then I have other numbers in there where I have the number symbol next to a number, numbered 1 through 12, I believe it is. Why do I have numbered 1 through 12? Because, like, look at how many activities. I'm just going to show you half of the page. Look how many activities are scheduled in a day. That's 12 activities, including lunch, not including lunch, that's 11. That is 11 times that you change locations and you go and work with a different, what were the words I used? Because I want to be correct here. You're either working those times with a technician, a specialist, a full-fledged PhD doctor, a physical therapist, like all these people with all these different areas of expertise in these different disciplines. Like, you are not just sitting in one room. It's just constant. You're constantly going from one to the next. And you can think about the reason you go to all these different things as regions of the brain. Like, I've started to think about CogFX as like, because it is sort of like there's all these little nooks and crannies and offices, and I'm starting to picture it like the human brain, and you got to go work on all these different areas. So you got to go all around CogFX and work on stuff. So I would estimate I spent 75% of my day pain-free. And here's the crazy part. These guys here, the sunglasses that I've been relying on to be indoors, that's about to fall over, that I've been relying on to survive being in indoor artificially lit spaces, like yesterday was good, but today I estimate I only wore these about 30% of the time. And honestly, I only wore them because I felt like something might start coming on. Like after I had those flare-ups, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna put them on, because on the advice of one of the practitioners there, they were like, there's just no need to push the envelope like that, because then you might crash. So it's okay to be conservative in your approach. You're already doing so much here. So I took their advice, which is unusual for me because I don't like to take advice from people, because I'm sure I'm a genius and I know everything. But I'm here for whatever they say. And so I wore the sunglasses, and I think it probably helped keep my flare-ups even lower. Again, also something I'm just getting used to is that my flare-ups are just like boom, boom. It's like it's either there or it's just gone. And it's just totally different than the pattern that I've been in for the last 8 months. Okay. The other thing I want to get to, I'm going to make this super short. Hopefully more people will watch it if it's really short, right? I want to talk about my legs. So, I was in neuromuscular therapy, and we had like 10 minutes left to the end, and the person said, hey, it's our last session this week. To wrap up this week, is there anything that we have not worked on yet specifically that you have concerns about? And I was like, well, I already had one concern, but you already answered it, which is when I was back at home before I came here, whenever I would have problems balancing, I would sort of test myself. And so when I used to stand up, I'd close my eyes, and I would tilt my head back just to see. And sure enough, I would always lose my footing, and I'd have to step back. I could not stand straight without falling over or stepping backwards. I mean, I never fell all the way backwards. But she goes, okay, well, what else is going on? And I was like, well, there's the thing that happens where when I'm on my bicycle, which I've only been on my bike like once or twice since September, if I'm up at speed at all, like I would say anything over like 6 miles an hour, like, you know, you're coasting, I can't tell where my legs are, my feet, my hands in space. I have no sense. I can't tell where those things are, which sounds super weird, but they had heard about it. And I also describe it as like if I'm on a bike and I'm riding, it's like all I'm aware of is my trunk. It's like my sensation goes down to here on my arms, and it goes down to like mid-thigh on my legs. Dang, this thing will not stay. And so I feel like I'm basically just like a head and a trunk traveling through space. And so try riding your bike like that. It's not safe, and so I have not been doing it. It's so disorienting. So anyway, she goes, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. So here's the crazy part, okay? So she comes up to me, and so I'm sitting like this. She goes, okay, here's what we're gonna do. She says, close your eyes. So I close my eyes. And then pretend this is her hand. She's like, okay, I'm going to touch your leg. She touches my leg. She goes, now take one of your hands and reach down and put your finger on that exact spot. So I would have used my left arm, pretend this is my left arm, and I would have, with my eyes closed, tried to put my finger exactly where her finger is. So like, let's say she put her finger there. Where would my finger end up? I'd be like, my brain would go, oh, I know she's touching my knee. I'll also put my finger on my knee. And I'm not exaggerating. I'd put my freaking finger like in the middle of my thigh. And so she started up here. She tested me all the way down to my feet. I got every single one wrong. And sometimes it was off by a lot. And she looked at me afterwards and she goes, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty bad. And we had a good laugh. And then here is the absolute nutty part. Because how would you fix this, right? How would you fix it? So she goes and she gets an iPad and she brings it back and she goes, okay, you're gonna see some pictures on screen, and all you have to do is tell me if tell the iPad you have to click that's the left leg or the right leg. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, just, you'll see what I mean. So basically, I'm shown a bunch of pictures of just people's legs, like from like the thigh down to the ankle in all these different positions. We got hairy legs, we got shaved legs, we got legs that are bent at the knee. It was crazy. And I'm just flipping through these and I'm like, okay, I think that's a left leg. I think that's a right leg. And I go through all these strangers' legs is what we'll call them. And I'm just like chuckling to myself. I'm like, what? How is this related? And so then she takes the iPad. She goes, okay, close your eyes. So I close my eyes. And just from looking at strangers' legs and thinking about if that was their left leg or their right leg, I was able to put my fingers on her fingers, dude. Like, how does that work? But it worked. And as we got lower and further down the leg, like down by like my ankles and my feet, I was still a little bit off, but like, I think it was only like by like an inch or something. But I mean, I just sat there after that for like 5 minutes before the next activity started. And I was just like, what is happening? So there's a lot of things like that that are their daily bread there. Like that's what's happening to, I would say, everyone I've asked, how's it going? They have stories like that. So it's like there was another person there today where well, actually, no, I won't share that story because that's their private stuff. So I actually won't share that story. But it's a good story about just this really simple thing that happened, a simple tweak that happened that, one of the people gave. And they were just like, oh, and my double vision is so much better now. And I was just like, what? So anyway, that's my report from today. Did I make it under 10 minutes? I was really aiming for under 10 minutes. All right, well, we're sticking with that. Bye.